For the first time in history of the Lithuanian Car of the Year awards, 2021 was the year when electric car was ranked the best car in Lithuania, and that car was VW ID3. This is truly historic event marking a new stage of electric mobility in Lithuania. But VW's progress and excellence are appreciated not only by our country's experts. Another VW masterpiece was announced, the World Car of 2021, and it's ID4. Today I have the opportunity to test what this extraordinary recognition is worth. So in this video I will briefly review what everyone planning to buy a new car, and even those who do not include electric cars in their list of choices, should know. By the way, the last part of this review will really surprise you, because according to my calculations, buying an ID4, which costs almost 50,000 euros, is actually cheaper than buying a 35,000 euro petrol-powered VW Tiguan. So it should be interesting. I am Tadas from OEV.LT, about electric cars in a nutshell. ID4 is the second fully electric car launched by VW Group. All previous electric models were modifications to fuel-powered cars. So when you start building from a drawing rather than remaking an already assembled object, the end result is more successful. The global recognition of the ID series electric vehicles proves that the project was really paid off. In this review, I will not go into deep insights about the car's exterior design, the quality of the interior materials, or the choice of color palette. I will mention only just a few technical facts to give you an overall impression of the size of ID4. In general, ID4 is very similar to Tiguan, which is quite popular among Lithuanians. However, this electric car is 7 centimeters longer, and its wheelbase, the distance between the front and rear axles, is almost 10 centimeters longer, which means greater driving comfort and more spacious interior. Although the width of both cars is the same, ID4 is 6 centimeters lower than the Tiguan. With regard to the battery capacity, it is worth noting that manufacturers often refer to total capacity, which is not very relevant to the customer. Net battery capacity is much more relevant to follow. Currently, there is only one choice of battery for VW ID4 in the Baltics, which is the largest installed in Volkswagen electric cars, at least so far, 77 kilowatt hours. According to official data published by VW, depending on the driving conditions, the distance covered by the car in one charge varies from 360 to 520 kilometers. Analyzing the information from the test performed on this electric car available on the internet, we can see that the real driving distance in summer at a constant speed of 90 kilometers per hour is close to 450 kilometers. And when increased up to 120 kilometers per hour, it drops to around 300 kilometers. By the way, we had an opportunity to try a VW ID3 with a 58 kilowatt hours battery a little bit earlier, and you can see the info about the real distance traveled by the younger brother when traveling from Vilnius to Palanga by clicking the link in the description of this video. A very important aspect when choosing an electric car is the battery charging speed. The situation here is a little more confusing, but I will try to explain as simply as possible. The battery charging speed depends on car technical capabilities, charger or station power, and a battery status. As for the ID4 technical possibilities or specifications, everything is simple enough. The 77 kilowatt-hour battery model can be charged with a maximum power of 125 kilowatts using a DC charging station, which means that on average about 20 kilowatt-hour per 100 kilometers consuming ID4 could theoretically fill up for 10 kilometers ride in 1 minute of charging. For example, on a standard stop to buy and eat a hot dog, which usually takes up to 15 minutes, you can fill your electric car for additional 150 kilometers range. Unfortunately, you will not be able to achieve this charging efficiency with a random charger in Lithuania, as most of them only support the power up to 50 kilowatt, that is around 4 kilometers per minute. If you are going to charge ID4 at home and install the maximum supported 11 kilowatt AC charger, you will charge for about 50 kilometers ride per hour. When it comes to the speed of chargers or charging stations, it is important to know one thing: they differ a lot. If the slowest charging from the simple house socket to the ID4 pumps only around 12 kilometers per 1 hour, then the fastest charging station currently operating in Lithuania could fill up over 10 kilometers in 1 minute. The condition of battery, or more precisely its temperature, also affects the charging speed. So many car makers have special heaters for heating the battery during the cold season, or coolers to lower the temperature if the battery becomes too hot. The battery condition also has significant impact on the fact that even if the theoretical specifications of the car and the technical capabilities of the charger can allow maximum charging power of 125 kilowatts, it is impossible to get the same charging speed through the whole charging period. According to the information found on the internet, the real-life charging speed of a 77 kilowatt-hours ID4's battery with a 125 kilowatt power charger depends a lot on the battery charge-up level. While theoretically to fully charge the battery at the maximum power should take about half an hour, the ID4 battery was fully charged only in 1 hour time. From the picture we can see that in the first half an hour ID4 filled up for almost 250 kilometers and in the remaining 30 minutes only for 115. Therefore, many car makers recommend charging EVs only up to 80% at fast charging stations, as further charging will be less efficient in terms of time and could impact the battery's life longevity. One of the main reasons why we don't see a cloud of new electric cars on the streets is the initial price of the car, which is not encouraging for many. And really, comparing VW Tiguan with the ID4, the price difference is obvious. And we are not talking about a few thousand. It's a 40% on top. Ouch. But let's not rush to conclusions here. Let's calculate. One important fact to keep in mind when evaluating the price of a car is that many new car buyers use them for not more than 5 years and then they sell them. So the amount of money recovered from ID4 and Tiguan owners is different. It is a common market practice that when buying a car from the dealership, it is possible to agree with the sellers that after 5 years they will buy back your car for an amount at least 30% of its original value. Thus, the real price paid by the buyer within that period is 70% of the initial price. The second fact that needs to be assessed is the subsidy offered by the state to the buyers of an electric car. So if you buy your first and new EV in Lithuania, by filling out several forms, you can get a 5,000 refund from the state. As you can see from the chart, the real difference between the price of ID4 and Tiguan paid in 5 years from the initial eye-watering almost 15,000 euros has decreased to just over 5,000 euros. This is the price difference that the owner of an electric car overpays. But again, let's not hurry with the conclusions and let's keep counting. In 5 years, the average driver travels around 100,000 kilometers on the road. Given the current price of fuel and electricity, as well as the energy consumption of the cars, driving a Tiguan for 100 kilometers costs more than 8 euros. And ID4 driver flies the same distance for about 2 euros. Thus, the cost of the fuel to travel 100,000 kilometers on Tiguan is more than 4 times higher than ID4. And that's how the owner of an electric car saves over 6,000 euros on the fuel alone. And the last fact, maintenance of an electric ID4 in 5 years or up to 100k kilometers, according to official VW data, is even 3 times lower than for the petrol engine Tiguan. Yep, so let's summarize it all. Being the owner of an advanced, spacious electric family SUV that can drive up to 500 kilometers on a single charge is cheaper than owning its petrol-powered analog. It's a fact. By the way, if you like this video and would like to be notified when OEV.LT uploads a new one about electric cars in a nutshell, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button and leave your comments below.